First, there was TikTok, and now there's Microsoft Teams. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another discussion video. Today we're talking about the inclusion of Microsoft Teams in Mercedes-Benz vehicles. So recently, Mercedes-Benz revealed the CLA shooting brake. If you didn't know, there's a new generation of the Mercedes CLA that's built in collaboration with Geely, or at least uses Geely powertrains, and now there's a wagon version of that with some impressive sounding electric range. Coinciding with the reveal of the CLA shooting brake, Mercedes-Benz announced that the new CLA, and as time progresses, all other Mercedes-Benz vehicles will come with a built-in Microsoft Teams app in the infotainment system. Apparently, according to Mercedes, and as reported by Motor One, this will transform your Mercedes-Benz into a third workspace. And again, as I said, it'll debut in the CLA shooting brake, and eventually it'll start appearing in other Mercedes-Benz vehicles, or at least the current ones that run on the latest version of MBUX. Now, I don't like to generalize things very much. I am, after all, a student of psychology, and that's not something we do in that field. And again, I don't know about people's preferences all that much, and it's not really something that I've experienced personally, because I have used Microsoft Teams for college-related stuff back in the days of COVID, when we had to have online classes. But I haven't used Microsoft Teams for work, thank God, because I work freelance. But despite all of this, I can say with a pretty high degree of certainty, and I want everyone to pay close attention, especially Mercedes-Benz executives, to what I'm about to say. Okay, ready? No one wants this. Okay, let me repeat that again. No one wants this. I don't know if you've been paying attention over the past couple of years on the internet, ever since Microsoft Teams became a major thing that a lot of people use, but nobody talks about Microsoft Teams in a positive manner. All I've seen is either people are complaining about their 9-to-5 office life, having to sit in Microsoft Teams meetings all day, or complaining that Microsoft Teams doesn't work properly, which I've experienced myself personally. Microsoft Teams is, and I'm doing my best to be charitable, a broken piece of shit. So incorporating Microsoft Teams into your car seems so incredibly counterintuitive and stupid that I just had to make a video about it. I said to myself, and I made a community post today, as I'm recording this, that I would keep the talks of the critiques of the automotive industry to a minimum, because firstly, that's boring and y'all deserve different and original content, and secondly because, well, I've said quite a lot already, but I had to make a video on this because it's so unbelievably absurd and useless. I cannot think of a single actual case where you might want to use this thing. The only time I can think of is, say you're late to work it's 7:59 a.m. on a Monday morning, because let's face it, you're going to get told off if you're a minute late to work these days. And the meeting starts at 8 a.m. on a Monday. It's 7:59, you're stuck in traffic, and you'll join the meeting in your car so you can listen along. That's the only time I can think of that thing being useful. But even then, it's a little bit of an oxymoron, if you will, because, well, first of all, meetings require you to pay attention. I realize that nobody does, but meetings require you to pay attention because some actually important things might be said. I know I'm pretty aware that most of the time non-important things are being said, but let's say your boss, right, the host of the meeting, calls you, and you have to unmute your microphone, because I would hope that there's a microphone muting option in this app for Mercedes vehicles, and you have to reach over at the screen to unmute your microphone. Or what if you forget to mute your microphone and they just hear you road raging and then the thing focuses on you? It's just stupid. But again, okay, I realize that there's a case for Microsoft Teams to be useful, say if you're late to work and the meeting's already started. But let's face it, if you go to work on time, how many times a month is that going to happen? And more to the point, let's say your CEO, your manager is chill and they record the meeting, and if you're late, they say that's no problem, you can just go and listen to the recording once you get into work, once you check in at the office. Again, I ask, what's the point of this? Because other than this really specific circumstance, the only time when people are in their car is when they're on the way to work and when they're getting home from work. You know, after work, there are no more meetings. Certainly not ones that require you to be on Microsoft Teams unless you work for a toxic company that calls you on Microsoft Teams at 8 p.m., in which case leave immediately, but forming an entire partnership with Microsoft and putting an app in the infotainment system of a car, the mode of transportation that's designed to get you to work and back home from work, is ridiculous. And especially because, again, that's the only situation I can think of where this would be useful. What, you're going to listen to meetings in the car? No, because you're in the office. And most freelancers don't really have Microsoft Teams meetings. Well, depends on the client, more than likely. The freelance job that I do does not require me to have meetings necessarily. But even then, if you're with a client, and especially a local client, you're just going to call them on the phone normally, or if you use Apple CarPlay or whatever, you're going to ask Siri or Google Assistant to send them a message through, iMessage or WhatsApp or whatever. And yet, here we are getting a dedicated Microsoft Teams app in our infotainment system in one of the only places, or one of the only modes of transportation, where we don't listen to meetings or follow along with work meetings. And, other than going to and from work, what else is the car used for? Going to the grocery store, picking up the kids from school and taking them home, or taking them to school, taking them to sports practice, going on vacation. Again, you don't listen to Microsoft Teams meetings when you're doing any of those things. Again, unless you work for a toxic company, in which case, leave immediately. I understand that the job market, that's mostly a joke, admittedly. I understand that the job market is a bit messed up right now, but that's a whole other topic. In either case, I truly believe that this whole Microsoft Teams and MBUX thing is an indication of Mercedes-Benz being under major, massive misguidance. And I've made a video about this before, like almost 3 years ago. I said it was called Mercedes-Benz We Need to Talk. Oh, it wasn't 3 years ago, that was the Genesis video. Either way, I have made a video about this before, and it was about Mercedes' electric cars, and I can see how that's working out for them now, because they have basically been bullied into bringing back the AMG V8, and indeed, for now, all of the future 63 AMG models will have the V8, but they're still not admitting their faults for putting the 4-cylinder in the C63. They're basically gaslighting us. You don't understand the technology. We don't need to understand the technology. We don't want it. And this time, that's not based on speculation. It's a proven fact. Nobody is buying the C63 because nobody wants a 4-cylinder vehicle with a 63 AMG badge. And there's more, by the way. I don't know if you heard, but the electric G-wagon, or I hope this is the last time I ever have to say its full name, but the Mercedes G580 with EQ technology. Seriously, that's the actual name of the electric G-Class. Look it up. That's a flop. No one's buying that. I am not at all surprised because, well, the kind of people who buy a G-Wagon either don't really care about electric cars, or they specifically don't want an electric G-Wagon. And I feel as though that making the G-Wagon electric kind of goes entirely against everything the G-Wagon stands for. Not that I agree with some of the things that the G-Wagon stands for, because I absolutely do not, but, its general brutish vibe and this whole big, rough and tough off-roader sort of thing, being electric is not G-Wagon material whatsoever. And, well, it's a flop and nobody's buying it. I think that most people, if they want an electric off-road SUV, they're drawn towards more newcomers, sort of people who have established themselves immediately as people who want to sell a rugged electric vehicle to consumers, like the Rivian R1T and the GMC Hummer EV, the SUV version, or the pickup, doesn't matter. They're both good off-road from what I've heard. So making this iconic former military vehicle electric doesn't seem right at all. And there's also that new AMG concept car with its electric V8. Yes, really, they call it an electric V8 because there are speakers inside of the headlights that emit a sound of a V8 engine. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Maybe the execution will be fine, because it certainly worked wonders for the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. But between Microsoft Teams and canceling the V8 and all of this, Mercedes-Benz is making it abundantly clear that they're under hideous misguidance. And while they will absolutely not fail as an automaker, because they're way too big to just fail like that, I don't think that they're doing the right things right now. I think that Mercedes needs a little bit of a reality check. Nobody wants Microsoft Teams in their Mercedes, or any car for that matter. And that's gonna be about it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the community tab for news about upcoming videos and other miscellaneous updates. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.